Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be ranking the 7 foundations I've tried so far this year. If you are new here, I will preface this by saying that I do have very dry skin, so a lot of this is based on that. Coming in at number 7 is one of the worst foundations I've ever put on my face, and this is the Urban Decay Face Bond Foundation. I have this in shade 2, and it's really bold to say that this is the worst foundation I've ever put on, but it's true. This is really unfortunate because I wanted to like this. This advertises itself as a self-setting foundation. It's supposed to be waterproof, 24-hour wear, contain niacinamide, can't feel coverage. And I will back up the claims that it feels very lightweight on the skin. That is true. It does feel very, very lightweight. And I think for an oily skin type, I think you might really, really like this. As a dry skin type, I cannot recommend enough that you stay away from this. This just looks so incredibly dry on the skin. I was also excited to see that this is like a self-setting foundation because I thought that's great. That means I won't need to set it, and powder can definitely make me look dry, so I thought that's great. This sounds perfect. But it looks so incredibly dry on the skin. This is what the squeeze tube looks like, and I really like this little component. Again, I got the shade 2 Fair, and the shade is actually pretty good for me as well. So whenever I would try to wear this foundation, I would prep my skin really, really well, make sure everything was looking flawless, ready to go, and it would still look so incredibly dry. I even tried this on some of these days that we've had recently that are warmer, so my skin isn't as dry, and still it just looks so incredibly dry on the face. I've tried it, like I said, so many times, so many different ways. Always prep my skin really, really well, but I would go above and beyond when I was using this. I tried mixing it with the Dior Star Filter in order to give it a little bit of hydration. Still didn't work. It just still looks incredibly dry in the skin. The only thing that I can say that I really like about it is how lightweight it feels, and I also think it has the potential to give really great coverage. It's just that on my skin, it looks so incredibly dry. It aged me like 10 years. It just isn't a top contender for dry skin. So unfortunately, this one is just not it. Coming in at number 6 is from Tarte, and this is the Shape Tape Cloud Coverage. So this is not a new product. This one has been out for a while. I have the shade 16B Fair Light Beige. So the shade is a little deep as well, but what I don't like about this is that it looks different on my skin depending on the day. Some days it's incredibly dry. Some days it looks great. And both of those days I would have prepped and prepared my skin the exact same way, but yet I'm getting different results with this. And for that reason, I don't rank this very high. I don't think it's a bad foundation at all. I do think it feels incredibly lightweight on the skin, which I love. I think it gives a really nice medium coverage. It's just that it's very inconsistent for me. So for that reason, I did drop this down to number 6. I love a good squeezy tube with a pump. There's something about that type of packaging that I just love, but I don't like the inconsistency. I don't know why this likes me some days and not others when nothing's changed. So unfortunately, I rank this one at number 6 for inconsistency. Coming in at number 5 is a foundation I tried quite recently. This is the Natasha Denona High Glam Powder Foundation. So this one is ranking a little bit lower simply because I'm not a huge powder foundation girl. I don't wear a ton of powder foundation. I am a dry skin type. When I go for powder foundations, I'm typically either using them as a setting powder or I'm using them to add a little bit of coverage if my original foundation didn't give me enough. So I have been wearing this in all of those different ways to gather my thoughts. And first of all, I have the shade N2. I thought N2 would be perfect. My concealer shade is N1, so I thought this would be perfect. But N2 actually appears a little bit yellow, which is annoying. That is one of my biggest pet peeves when neutral shades pull yellow. It drives me crazy. So I should have gone with a more cool tone shade. The nice thing is that this is refillable, so when I'm done with it, I can just order a proper shade. And I like that. I love that it's refillable. I love the packaging. It's got that soft touch matte feel. It does come with a sponge underneath. The packaging of this is absolutely beautiful, and the formula is actually really nice too. It does feel very, very lightweight on the skin. It does give a really nice medium coverage. It is quite beautiful on the skin, and it doesn't feel overly drying like powder foundations tend to do on my dry skin. That being said, The shade match isn't 100%, and I do think this ends up being a foundation that works better. Like I would use all of my other powder foundations for just adding coverage or setting. I always try to find a powder foundation because I do think they're more convenient, they can be less messy, and I really want that, but it's just really hard for me to find. In my initial review of this one, I also made comparisons to the L'Oreal powder foundation and the Maybelline hybrid powder foundation. The L'Oreal is much, much drier than this and way too dry for me. The Maybelline is about the same dryness, same amount of coverage, looks beautiful, but it kind of does the exact same thing. So if you were between this one and the Maybelline, I would just grab the Maybelline because that is my favorite powder foundation. At this time, that is one that never fails me. It gives a little bit more coverage than this, I would say, and is a much lower price point. This retails for I think $55 US, and it ends up being I think around 73 Canadian, which is just too much for a powder in my opinion. So I like this. I love the packaging. I absolutely love that it's refillable, but I don't think it's a must-have. Okay, coming in at number 4 is actually from e.l.f. and it's been a long time since I've had an e.l.f. foundation in a rankings, but this is their Camo Hydrating CC Cream and I have the shade Fair 120N. This I really like. So we have a squeeze tube with a pump. Love that. I picked this one up at the beginning of the year. This is supposed to be full coverage, long lasting with a dewy finish and tremella mushroom and hyaluronic acid. So this is supposed to be more hydrating and I do think it dries down to more of a satin. It's not super glowy, but it does give a really nice coverage. It feels very lightweight on the skin and it wears all day long. It's a really solid product from e.l.f. I think if you didn't like the original Camo CC cream, this might be a really nice option. I think if that one was too drying, you might really like this one because it definitely does feel hydrating. It doesn't really do anything amazing or special, but it does do exactly what it claims to do. It's hydrating, it gives a nice medium coverage. It says full coverage, but I found I got more of a medium, and it definitely lasted all day long and felt more like a satin finish. I enjoyed it. I think this is really nice, and this is one that I've reached for quite a few times. I have really, really enjoyed using this one, so I think this is one of the best foundations I've tried from e.l.f. Coming in at number 3 is actually from Kylie Cosmetics, and this is the first product I've ever tried from the brand. Nothing ever really stood out to me until I saw this, but this is the Power Plush Longwear Foundation, and I have the shade 2C, so the shade also works very well for me. This reminds me a lot of the Haus Labs foundation. It dries down matte, but it feels hydrating on the skin. It gives a really nice high medium coverage. It wears all day long and it just feels really, really nice on the skin, and it's easy to blend. It works with all of my other products. This is actually a really, really good foundation. I was surprised. Like I said, I have never tried anything from this brand before, so I really didn't know what to expect. So I was very pleasantly surprised by this one, but this one I've reached for a ton as well. I really like this. I love the packaging. I love pink, but this is beautiful. And this is definitely, if I ran out of my Haus Labs, but I still had this, I wouldn't really purchase my Haus Labs right away because I would just work on using this in its place. So I have to say, I think they did a really great job with this. Coming in at number 2 is from Makeup Forever, and this is the HD Skin Hydra Glow Foundation. This is really nice. So I was always a fan of the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. That's discontinued, so then I picked up the HD Skin foundation and I really like that one. That one gives a really solid medium coverage. It looks nice on the skin. I would say the HD Skin definitely gives much more coverage than its predecessor. It is definitely medium, whereas the Ultra HD was very sheer to buildable coverage. So that is a really, really nice foundation. It does dry down to be pretty matte, but I can definitely make it work on my skin, which I like. But when I saw that they were coming out with the Hydra Glow foundation, I absolutely had to pick it up, and this feels so nice on the skin. I like it much better than the HD Skin, which I already really liked. The first thing, I have the shade 1RO2, which is one of the best shade matches I have in my entire collection. This is such a nice foundation. It is very, very hydrating. I would say it's a medium coverage. I think the original HD Skin gives a little bit more coverage, but still has a nice medium coverage. In terms of glow, this is very glowy. It is very glowy. It's not as glowy as the Say foundation, but definitely glowier than the new Fenty foundation. So definitely glowy, but definitely feels nice on the skin, wears all day long, just looks beautiful and flawless and gives the skin such a beautiful soft radiance. I would also say it's definitely glowier than my NARS Light Reflecting, which is my holy grail foundation. But I love this. I think it's excellent. I think they did such a good job with this, and I love that we finally have a glowier option for Makeup Forever. I love the HD skin, but this one definitely kind of shoved that one aside a little bit. And coming in at number 1, I kind of spoiled when I was talking about the Makeup Forever foundation, but this is the Fenty Soft Lit Naturally Luminous Long Wear Foundation. I love this one. This is amazing. I have the shade 120. And this is also a really good shade match. I'm wearing this today. This foundation I tried very recently, but I've been wearing it for about a week and a half to 2 weeks at this point. And this one is incredible. It gives such a really nice high medium coverage. Like, it covers everything. It hides everything you want to hide. It evens out the skin. Again, it wears all day long. This is almost like a bulletproof foundation. The one thing I will say is that it doesn't fully dry down. So if you can't stand when your foundation doesn't fully dry down and you can kind of feel it when you touch your skin, I would just recommend powdering, because that does help and take away a lot of that tackiness, but you will end up losing a little bit of the glow. So there is that. In terms of glow, this is a little bit glowier than the NARS Light Reflecting, less glowy than the Hydra Glow from Makeup Forever. So this one is a really nice luminosity where it's not too much, but it does just give your skin some life. It just makes your skin look really naturally radiant, and I love that. So I mentioned this before, but I do work 2 jobs from home. So I am on the computer for a very large portion of the day. But I do try to fit in a workout and a walk in that time, and this always just holds up. Even after my walk, my makeup still looks absolutely flawless. I absolutely love this. I love the way that it just gives my skin such a healthy luminosity while also giving me a really nice amount of coverage, and I just look so flawless and put together. This foundation is just so beautiful. I did a 12-hour wear test on this one, and it still looked really amazing by the end. So I love this foundation. I can't stop wearing this one. And this is the only one that has gotten me to stop grabbing my NARS Light Reflecting every single day. So that's impressive. I don't think it's overtaking my NARS, but that is impressive. So I have really, really loved this foundation. I'm really excited to have this in my collection, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. So this is definitely my favorite foundation I've tried so far this year. There might still be some incredible gems to come out in the latter half of this year, but we will see. But those are the 7 foundations I have tried so far this year. Let me know down below, what is the best foundation you've tried so far this year? What's your holy grail foundation? Let me know. I just love hearing from you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!